Russia was supposed to own Ukraine's skies in 72 hours. 3 years later, their elite Air Force is flying with commercial GPS units taped to dashboards. This is the story of how a superpower's Air Force fell apart. February 24th, 2022. A Russian Su-30SM, one of their most advanced fighters, gets shot down by a Ukrainian Stinger missile that costs 1,000th the price of the jet. It wasn't an outlier. Before the war, Russia had over 2,000 combat aircraft. The world expected complete air supremacy within a week. Instead, open-source intelligence has visually confirmed hundreds of losses, over 10% of their entire pre-war fleet. Gone. This isn't bad luck. This is decades of rot finally exposed under the pressure of real combat. Russia's Air Force is crumbling, and the reasons go deeper than anyone imagined. Let's start with the hardware. Russia's Air Force is built on Soviet-era airframes that are falling apart. Their An-26 transport fleet, average age 50 years old. They've been forced to extend the service life of these planes because there's nothing to replace them with. Sanctions have gutted their ability to build modern aircraft. The result? Credible reports of pilots taping commercial GPS units, the kind you buy at an electronics store, to the dashboards of advanced Su-34 fighter bombers. Let that sink in. A country that claims superpower status can't get basic navigation equipment for its jets. This isn't just embarrassing, it's dangerous. And it gets worse. Modernization programs have collapsed. Russia tried to revive Cold War-era T-160 bombers as a stopgap because their next-generation projects are going nowhere. They're flying backward into the future. But even if the planes worked perfectly, you still need someone in the cockpit who knows what they're doing. Training a Russian combat pilot takes 7 to 8 years to train. But here's the problem. Russian pilots average 100 to 120 flight hours per year. NATO standard? 180 hours. That gap is the difference between a weekend pilot and a commercial airline captain. And it shows. Russian pilots fly rigid, scripted missions controlled from the ground. When things go wrong, when the plan falls apart, they can't adapt. Modern air warfare demands split-second decisions, multitasking under pressure, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, precision strikes, all at once. Russian pilots simply aren't getting the hours they need to master that environment. So you've got undertrained pilots flying aging planes into combat, but here's where it gets worse. The Russian Air Force was built for one thing: homeland defense. Intercepting enemy bombers, protecting their own airspace. It was never designed for a large-scale offensive war that requires tight coordination with ground forces. Day one of the invasion exposed this. Russia's first job? Knock out Ukraine's air defenses. They hit the obvious targets, the stationary radar sites everyone knew about. But Ukraine had mobile SAM systems that could pop up anywhere, anytime. Russian jets started flying into contested airspace, and they started getting picked off one by one. Russia had a choice: keep flying into the meat grinder or admit they couldn't win the air war they'd planned for. They chose option 2. Around mid-2024, Russian tactics shifted dramatically. Their jets began firing thousands of glide bombs per month from standoff distances, up to 70 kilometers away. This lets them hit Ukrainian positions without entering the most dangerous air defense zones. It's brutal, it's destructive, and it's somewhat effective. But make no mistake, this isn't a sign of strength. It's an admission of failure, a tacit acknowledgement that they can't control the skies. Russia's Air Force looked mighty on paper. 2,000 aircraft, decades of Cold War prestige. But paper doesn't win wars. Aging equipment, undertrained pilots, a doctrine built for the wrong war. All of it collapsed under the weight of reality. Russia's adapted with standoff weapons, but adaptation isn't victory. It's survival. The question now isn't whether their air force failed, it's whether this hollowed-out force can sustain another year of this war. The answer might reshape Europe's security for decades. If you found this analysis valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into military strategy and technology.